Welcome to some more Sega GT Online. This is part 18, and in today's part, we're going to be splitting it up for a while. As you saw in the last part, we did unlock the next season of events, but I thought it would be better to show off a different part of the game that actually has some stuff to unlock. When I did the gathering mode first, I did that because it unlocks stuff for the Sega GT mode. But this is mostly going to be for the quick battle mode in terms of unlocking things. But it's substantial enough that I thought I'd show it off anyways. This is a mode called... It's also just because it's a really cool mode in general. It's the Chronicle Mode. Now, the Chronicle Mode is particular in that it's basically you do like a run-through of events with a particular car going through the quote-unquote generations, where basically all the cars you face are vehicles that fit that time frame. So 70s, early 80s, late 80s, early 90s, late 90s, and then 21st century. At each one, by doing each one, you get cars to unlock, as you can see by the little silhouettes and stuff. So what I'll probably do for this is we'll just probably go from left to right. So first up we have is the Hakosuka Skyline, the KPG C10. There's 6 stages in all. First, you get points for doing these. First is 5, second is 3, and third is 2. After you clear each stage, points can be used to improve any particular part of the vehicle.
Yay, stage
And basically,
points.
you can get stuff about things that were going on in that generation. I'm just gonna skip that because that takes too long to go through, because I'm impatient. So we got a whole bunch of vehicles. Oh yeah, you'll also see a thing where the vehicle in front of you is usually themed towards the vehicle that you are driving. There we go. Oh, and don't worry, we can hit as much as we want to. We won't be punished for doing so this time.
Nope, we can be
nice.
a dirty racer now.
We can finally for the first time in quite a while, we can finally tell the AI to piss off. Oh, that was just dumb, going wide there. So by the way, get used to seeing Brick Raceway as the first track, because it never changes. Most of the events have like a certain track in particular, but the rest of them all do. But the rest of them do shuffle between those few events that they have assigned for them. It's only this one that's always the same.
I'm going to consult the perfect guide.
It's only... Weird thing that's come to mind, I really miss seeing a center-mounted tack in racing. What, where it's like, when you go into this view, it's in the middle? Yeah, I mean, it's a neat little feature. Neat little touch that English is hard. A neat little thing to keep in mind there. Well, putting it off to the side makes sense if you have like the outside view here, because it stays out of the way. Because if you're gonna have a camera view where you're seeing it like this, you're not gonna want it to be in the way in the middle, because it'll get kind of obstruct seeing the car. But when you're in this view, it makes more sense, because then they can just use that space that's now taken away and put the HUD in its place. Anyways, what the hell is what perfect guy? What is this about?
I mentioned in the last stream that a book was written about, like, for the Japanese market, about Sega GT 2002.
Oh, so a strategy guide.
It's essentially a strategy guide, and so late 70s is always going to be Brick Raceway. Early 80s will be Sandy Night Speedway. Late 80s Falcon Wing Circuit A. Early 90s, Turquoise Sea Park. Late 90s, Blue Steel Speedway. The 2000s will be Wild Country Circuit.
That's not incorrect.
Granted,
those are the tracks you can get. You can absolutely get those particular tracks, but it's only this race, only the 70s one, that it will always be this track. This track in particular. The rest have an assortment of tracks it can potentially choose from. it's possible those might be the most likely tracks, but for the rest of them, that they are not always. It's not always the same. Anyways, still think. I mean, sure, but I think with it, even if it being semi-transparent, I think some people wouldn't like it being in the way of like seeing the car itself. I think some people would like to just be able to see the car without it being obstructed. And we get 5 points. And we get the usual replay, because of course you would.
You don't get the cool fade into color effect, though.
No, it's only for the actual racing bit. But there we go. That was the first one done. So next up, we can actually now put something in the car. And as we've already established, weight reduction makes a big difference. So yeah, that's going to be the first thing we do. So next up we have is the early 1980s. And we got so now we got a bunch of early 80s vehicles, including an R30 as our counterpart for this particular period. As we're at Sepia Castle Pass, but which will slowly turn into Green Castle Pass. And yes, I'm glad this track showed up as it did to prove my point of what I was trying to say.
Yep.
It's only the first one that always uses Brick Raceway. Also with the standard aspect ratio going. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I can understand that. I just personally think like people would prefer it not obstructing the view of like the actual car itself, which is why they put it over to the side. So obviously, that's not to say every game does that. Gran Turismo Sport, for example, does not do that. Gran Turismo Sport actually puts it in the center. It could also just, I guess, maybe be an aesthetic thing, where maybe with all the everything else on the sides and corners and stuff, it might just be the developers thinking it would look aesthetically. To them, it would maybe look aesthetically better by putting it into like the one corner that's still free. That's just my guess. And yeah, you can see that even though some of the cars that we'll be coming into would easily outclass this, the AI is not exactly programmed in these events to go the quick. Ooh, I got a little bit of heartburn right now, which is not fun. Come on, just snake it through there. Okay, a couple more corners to go. Oh no, hey, my generation's counterpart is second place now. Woo. There we go. That's race number 2 of 6 down. So an extra 5 points, and because we have that 1.0 left over, we now have 6 points in total.
Yep.
Because the points do carry over. So if you don't use them all, then you'll have those points for things, which for some parts is, as you can see, is necessary. We're gonna do some tires next, because tires always help. Late 1980s now. Now, there technically is no games counterpart for 80s, so for some reason it wants to put this 86 as the counterpart, which makes no sense. There we go. I might have purposely made sure to go just a little bit below. See, there's a Nissan Mid-4 there. That's a Nissan. They could have just made that the companion, like, counterpart vehicle. But no, they didn't. Now, if only they put an R31 in this game, then they could have used that, but they didn't.
And there goes Inferno doing an Inferno thing.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, again, that book was written for the Japanese version of the game, so things may have changed.
I mean, if I ever get my hands on the Japanese version, I'll have to take a look at my own time, but not that I imagine I really would be too worried about doing so, seeing as how it's probably not. I imagine I would really be missing out on anything exclusive that I can think of.
You're not. There were no like region exclusives for.
Good morning, Dorset.
Online games.
Okay. Ooh, dear, that would have been a pretty bad line. Oh, jeez. Keep the M car together and keep it on the road. Not do anything dumb.
Don't do drugs.
No, do drugs. Well, do weed. Smunk. And 105 point Satan on that second lap. Now we should have 8 points, so we can put the turbo on the vehicle. And we're now halfway through, but we're just gonna keep going. Might as well just do these one car per part. Just make things easier. All right, turbo. That should give us a good jolt in power. As we now go into the early 90s. Fucking MR2 at the front, and there's our companion vehicle, which makes sense for it to be an R32.
Yep.
Okay. I still find it so weird that I'm just like in front of like all these vehicles with like an old car like this, but it's how they tailor the AI to be. Because if this was the regular Sega GT mode, this would definitely not be happening.
Nope.
Yes, phone, I'm aware. You don't have to keep bugging me. I just realized this car just has like a little... Has like a very small like blow off, so just a... It's just so far away from them. It's so silly. There we go. Excuse me. It's like, yes, so we're gonna pair you with all these 90s cars, and you're still in your old vehicle. What's that? You're several seconds ahead of them. Wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. Where's our papers? Yes, I know it helps because the vehicle is technically upgraded and everything, but when the thing is there, might as well benefit your car. Okay. Just around here. Out. Oh. Alright. Just a little bit more left. We're at least on the faster part now. Okay. And done. Two left to go. And yep. Cleared this. Get past that as much as we can. We know the picture. We know we'll see the picture stuff. Yep, we understand. And we can put 2 more upgrades. I think for this next one, we'll just put some port polish in. Just a little extra small little boost thing. As we now head into late 90s. And of course, R33 is the companion vehicle, which would make sense because late 90s. It's also very red. This particular one is also very red.
Red's a good color for the R33.
Yes, but it's not the best color.
Something midnight purple.
Yep, we're of course here on Blue Steel Speedway. Just some people might be saying, well, why didn't you get this, since this track does have some, you know, some particular corners, why didn't you get the suspension? Because, well, this track is also still quite a speedy thing, so putting a bit of a port polish would have helped with a little bit of bit of extra power, so it made sense to me to put the port polish in just to help a little bit more with speed. Yep, just around there. Okay. I probably should have taken that corner just a little sharper. Oh boy.
Funnily enough, I think the book was only wrong about 2 tracks so far. Again, you're right. It's probably a rotation.
It uses a certain rotation of the scenery technically is correct. It's very possible the game will try to call for one of the other variants of that sort of track design. Mm-hmm. So it's not always a guarantee to be that particular lineup. That's why I'm thinking maybe at some point I'll have to look at my own time and see if I can find the Japanese version to see if it is always the same or not. But right now I can't be bothered to do that, so. Stupid itch. It's like here I am, just trying to keep the car together, keep it concentrated, just trying to make sure I can get this done and over with as quickly as possible. Itch, 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 itch. Stop fucking itching! And there we go. Only one more race to do for this car. So, let's go ahead and see what we're going to be paired against for the last one. So far, clean first place record. And yeah, let's just go for the suspension now. As we go into the 21st century, and yes, early 21st because technically when this game came out. Yeah, pretty much what you expect, and of course, don't even need to say much. Companion vehicles, of course, the R34. It's just the usual kind of assortment of vehicles and stuff. And apparently it exceeds just going slightly off the track there, but managed to keep it together. And it's just blocked the wall. Way to go. I might have bonked it a bit back. Oh, it's fighting me. It's fighting me. It doesn't like it. Doesn't appreciate it. It's too bad.
Well, I mean, it is an exige after all.
Too bad. You can't have it your way, Lotus.
She's not here.
Just because I say Lotus does not have to refer to her every goddamn time. No, it really doesn't. Would you mind getting off my case, Exige, please?
Oh no, it seems I have downloaded a bit of a shitpost version of 3D Space Cadet Pinball.
Yeah, there you go. You bonked the right part of that wall there. Yeah, this game has two Lotus Esprits. Has the original one and it has the last gen one.
It's the Series 1 and the Series 4.
Oops.
Does not feature an Esprit that uses Toyota Corolla tail lamps.
Okay. Why is my phone going off?
Spam caller?
Stupid one. It's one of those stupid scare calls, which is just really a fucking scam. Ignoring this call with blah 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 blah. It's like, no, fuck off. If there was an actual issue, you would not be calling me. It wouldn't be, and it probably would not be an automated, and it wouldn't be an automated voice. It would be a real person. I've learned too well over the years that you have to be cautious about who tries to. You have to be very cautious about who tries to call you.
Oh yeah,
You get a lot of
goddamn twiddle.
Oops. Thank you, random tire spin. Alright, just this last little corner here. And there we go. Clean sweep with the skyline. And because it's the last race, we don't get any points. Obviously, because that would be pointless.
Yep.
And we get the last little thing. And for clearing that, we can now get a car for the quick battles, which in this case is the Skyline R32. I'm just pressing the button to show all the dumb little camera angles.
I didn't know you could do that in this mode. Cool.
And every time you clear the Chronicle Mode, you'll get this little video thing. I'll show this once because there's a bunch of cars. This will get old quickly. It's still a neat thing to at least see, but yeah, you get the idea. And then it does just like a little shuffle of all the pictures it snapped of you crossing the line in each of those races.
Fun fact, there was like a little year counter that was going up. It, like, before it completely faded to white, it ends at about 2018, 2019.
And now we're past that, so it's now out of date. And with that, yep, you just press this and you can see like all the clear stuff, and of course you get all your vehicles. Now, if you've never done Chronicle Mode before, it'll only lead up to about here, the Corvette Stingray, but there are actually more vehicles than that. And because we completed one, we now got this, the 240Z, as a potential vehicle to use, which we will get to eventually, but not quite yet. Because next part, we will be tackling it with the Savannah RX-3 instead. So stay tuned for that. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit the like and subscribe, because it really does help out the channel. Also, come check out my links down below. You can see this on Twitch as it's happening live with all the dumb little mistakes I make. And you can, if you want to help support the channel with Patreon pledge, you can do so. It gets your name in the video with just $1 or more. Thank you, and I'll see you hopefully all in the next one.